Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
Courage, a history of non-belief. A production of the Mid-Ohio Valley Atheist and Humanist. Sometimes called the obscure or the weeping philosopher, Heraclitus was born before the rise of Socrates in 535 before the Common Era, or 9466 of the Human Era. Before Heraclitus, who came from a privileged family and was a self-taught philosopher, philosophical tradition revolved around the idea of the permanence of being. That is, nothing ever changed, nothing was ever different, and nothing ever would be. This view was most famously expressed by Heraclitus' philosophical opposite, Parmenides, who said, "Whatever is, and what is not, cannot be." Thus, the goal of life for Parmenides was to simply find happiness in accepting that what you and the world are simply cannot change. This mindset, other than being in opposition to observed reality, clearly favors those who rule through superstition and privilege. There is no need to revolt or demand human rights if the world is not only how it is meant to be, but cannot change. Heraclitus objected, famously making the point by declaring that, quote, "No man ever steps in the same river twice," end quote. Consider that a river is constantly running, and while it is always a river until time changes it to something else, it is never the same river. Because of the running water, the rocks in the river shift, the course of the river changes over time, plants grow and die, and the water itself is never the same exact molecules from one second to the next. And so it is with humans and our institutions. We are in constant flux, always becoming something else. If we were constantly becoming a different person, then we have a constant opportunity, indeed a necessity, to choose who we are becoming. We have no choice about changing, only about choosing how to change, in a permanent interaction with our environment, with each other. Even if you steadfastly refuse to make a conscious choice about how to change or grow or react, that is still a choice that you make, and thus you are doomed or have the opportunity to always make one. Most importantly, because you and everyone else are constantly becoming something else, this means that the primary meaning of life is to choose who you are to become, to act on those choices, and that there is no final destination to that process. No heaven, no hell, no utopia or final apocalypse. Rather, it's the process itself, the act of changing and becoming, which is meaningful. Often, Heraclitus' philosophy is encapsulated in a two-word phrase: everything flows. He lays one more piece of our non-believing foundation by clearly declaring that the world has not been made by, quote, gods or men, end quote, but by the constant flow of change, the constant process of growth and destruction, presaging the idea of biological evolution and geologic scales of change. In his writings, he makes it clear that the universe itself is neither just or unjust, and whatever divinity exists, if it does, is unknowable, which is as close to atheism as these pre-science philosophers often get. Heraclitus is the source of the well-known aphorism, "Man's character is his fate," which really is the upshot and essence of his status as a proto-atheist and humanist. After all, if change is constant, and only we can choose the direction of that change, then our choices, our ethical choices, define who we are. And that certainly sounds an awful lot like humanism.